What if the person preparing the funeral for your loved ones could also deliver their messages from beyond? Today, our guest is Scott Allan, a man who spent his teens and 20s as a funeral director, only to discover that the dead are not done talking. Today known as the Boston Medium, Scott has transformed from the person who helps us to say goodbye to also someone who proves that goodbyes don't have to be forever. His journey from being a funeral director to being the lover of the paranormal is nothing short of extraordinary. I'm Astrid, and this is Unseen Light Podcast. We're about to explore the fascinating space between worlds with someone who stood on both sides of death's doorway. Hello, everybody, and hello, Scott. It's lovely to have you here. Today we have such an interesting and very unusual topic about mediumship. But a lot of people I know actually start with mediumship often as a children. They start to have these impressions usually early in their life, and sometimes they suppress them, or sometimes they continue growing them as they are older. But your path wasn't like that. You had not these impressions. You haven't seen spirits or communicated spirits as a child. It came later for you and under very interesting circumstances. Right. So can you tell us something that how these things awaken in you and about your unusual circumstances?
Yeah, well, okay. So let me just say, it's interesting because I do always say that it came through as an adult. In hindsight, I'm not sure that's entirely accurate. But mediumship and the whole spirit world does not look like I thought it would look. So I saw the movie Ghost. I remember Whoopi Goldberg. It's not like that. And so when that's your perception of what it's to be like, you don't recognize it when it shows up. But I was forced to recognize it as an adult because it became really intense. So as you know, I was a funeral director for many years. I started working in the funeral home when I was 16 years old. And
Wow.
there were moments back then that I can look back on now and say, clearly that was something. Clearly that was something. But it wasn't until I would say I sold my businesses in 2012. So it was probably 5 to 10 years before that when things started to really happen. I still didn't understand it. I still didn't know that it was anything other than really strange coincidences, but they were ramping up. And so the joke was always, I've seen thousands of dead people and not one of them talked to me. And that's the truth because I was around it all day long and never had a conversation with anyone about mediumship, about psychic work. It just was not part of the equation. And yet I started to notice that I could hear things. I could hear conversations. I could hear people walking up and down the stairs or walking above me. I could smell things. I could smell cologne. I could smell perfume or cigarette smoke when I was the only one there. And I thought, that's kind of odd. That's a really odd thing. And then I sold the businesses and thought, my business must be haunted, right? The building must be haunted. I built it from the ground up, but who knows what was there 100 years earlier. There was a house there, but I don't know anything about it. But once I got out, it ramped up and it became very, very frightening, actually.
Were you trying to rationalize it? Like, oh, that's maybe neighbors. Oh, I'm just imagining it. Was there some sort of like rationalizing skeptic process? And when you start like seeing things and hearing things?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that I was a healthy skeptic. I wasn't cynical. I believed that there was always something beyond this. I believed that spirits were real, that things could be haunted. What I didn't understand was why every place I visited was now haunted. My house was haunted, the business was haunted, the grocery store was haunted, everything's haunted, and nothing was haunted before. So, I think that was the part that had me going, So it wasn't that I thought it wasn't real or I must be imagining it. I questioned what was wrong with me. Is this a brain thing?
You realize
thing?
There is a connecting element to all of these places, and I think I know what it is.
Yeah, it's me. But I didn't think it was me at first. And I had someone tell me once, I really don't think it's the place. I think it's you. And that was like, what? Really? And it just completely took me by surprise. But there was a long time where I struggled with, I don't even want to tell anyone because they'll lock me up. So I dealt with it in solitude. I dealt with it alone, quietly, and wondered, is this some kind of mental illness that's creeping in on me? I don't feel it, but then do you feel it when you have mental illness? I had no idea. Do you know that you have mental illness? All I knew was I could hear my voice being called in the room with me. And I remember one day I was with my cousin and we were together and we were alone, and the voice, we heard it like with our ears. Hi, Scott. And I looked at her and I said, did you hear that? And she said, yeah, I heard that. Now, if
Wow.
you can hear that and I can hear that, probably a good thing, but it still doesn't explain anything. So I started carrying around a recorder with me and I started to record things. And I have recordings of voices talking to me. And I thought, let's see who else can hear it. And everybody that I played it for could hear the recording. And I thought, okay, so we can rule out mental illness, but we still haven't ruled out possession. So I don't know what's going on with me. It was not,
The list keeps going.
it was frightening. It was really frightening.
So, was there a point when you realized that, okay, this is frightening, but maybe I can turn that fear into something? Maybe I can turn it into purpose. Maybe I don't have to be afraid,
No,
but take control over it?
no, because I didn't know what it was. I never for a minute did I think, hey, I must be a medium. So now I can do all this. There was none of that. I had there was a woman that I had met and she's a medium. I had met her years ago and I sent her an email. I didn't even know if she'd remember me. I said, but here I am and I've got the spirit after me. And she's the one who told me. And I was like, no, no way, no way. Well, you've been all my life, right? By this point, I'm 50, like where you been? Where you been? And so it took me a few more years after that to really get a handle on it. I started to work with a shaman and she had introduced me to her, but even that felt like a bunch of baloney. It felt like it was fake. And I said, this isn't me. I just want to find out what's causing all these voices and all these names, and so that was the only answer they gave me. Once I accepted it and once I learned that I could do something with it, it stopped. It really just came to a screeching halt. But yet it was still there if I needed it, but nowhere near as intense.
So, you start getting like some form of like a control over it when you can like open it and close it if you want to?
I liken it to this. If you have a child at home and he keeps leaving his toys and clothes on the floor all over the place, and you say, go pick up your toys, go pick up your toys. And if he doesn't listen to you, you get louder, go pick up your toys. But then he just does it and you don't have to say it anymore because he's doing what he's supposed to be doing. That's what this is like. Once they realize that, okay, he's got it, the voices just calm down. They're still there if I want them, but they don't ever talk to me like that anymore. They don't ever. I mean, I will sometimes like be able to record them on my phone or something like that, but I don't ever get that kind of frightening stuff that I used to get all the time.
And when they are trying to communicating with you, do you feel like sensation somewhere in your body, or it just comes as a movie, or just like a voices,
Yeah.
or you mentioned the smells, like getting some form of like
Yeah.
impressions that. So are you feeling it in your body somewhere, for example?
It's a little bit of everything. I don't know if you're familiar with the clairs, right? Clairvoyant, claircognizant, clairsentient. When I first opened up, it was clairvoyant like all the time. I could see everything and basically anything physical. I could see it and smell it and sometimes feel it. Now it becomes much more refined. It's more of a knowing. It's like a memory that's not yours. So you know something about something that you shouldn't know anything about. It's kind of what it is. I will still see it. I'll still feel it, like emotionally. I might feel sadness. I might feel happiness. I might feel gratitude, which is kind of a weird thing to feel, but you feel it. I know that it's gratitude. Sometimes I just feel like how do I explain this? It's like my attention is being drawn to my heart, my elbow, my hip. I just know that's where I'm down below the diaphragm. I can feel something down here. I'm on this side of the body. It's my liver, that kind of a thing. So I can feel it, but I don't think I feel my liver. Do you know what I mean?
No, yeah, yeah.
I feel an awareness towards it, but I don't feel it. That's hard to explain to someone on the outside who doesn't understand it.
No. I get it. A lot of people who have
Yeah.
clairvoyant impressions are having the same thing. When these impressions are coming to you, like, are they coming sometimes suddenly without warning, or is there some form of like a buildup, like you're starting to feel that they are coming?
Depends on the spirit. And I don't just get them randomly anymore like I used to. But before it was just like, whoop, there it is. I don't get that. If I'm doing a reading with you and I give you a piece of information or evidence and you acknowledge it or you understand it, then they will show me. Like if you said, oh, that's my Uncle Ted, whatever, right? They will then show me that you've got it right. And I'll get this feeling, and it's like a whoosh. It's like somebody. Have you ever had like a sink full of water, and you pull the plug, and it just goes whoosh? It's like that with energy. It just goes whoosh right through you. And so that's a surprise because, oh, yep, they're just telling me you got it right. You got it right. Sometimes it's, I will say to someone, like you've got this person and this person. Like I'm talking about at a stage type event. This one thinks it's her mother. This one thinks it's her mother. And I will ask them for their name because there's a certain familiarity, again, with people I don't know. This is Carol, that's Mary. Which name sounds familiar to me? Because if I'm got that spirit here, I should understand which one of these is my daughter. Which one do I understand? Which one do I remember? And Carol, okay. And I'll feel like that's it. And then I'll get that whoosh right through me. It's just the strangest thing. But other than that, I have to invite it in. It doesn't happen when I'm home sitting watching TV. It doesn't happen when I'm sleeping. If I'm just hanging out, I have to like literally turn it on, so to speak, for lack of a better word, and invite it in. And when I invite it in, then they can show me. But it depends on the spirit. Some are very quiet. Some are more, little more talkative, so to speak, for lack of a better word. It just depends on the personality of who's coming through. And it depends on the person that I'm sitting with because it's a three-way conversation. It's not me and them. It's me and you and them. So if you're blocked, if you're like, nope, they're not going to talk to me. So
I
really,
see.
I
So
don't,
it
I don't
needs to,
sit. Yeah, it's like
a
if I
person
wanted to
needs to
sit
be
home today,
willing.
they have to be a willing participant in the whole thing. So if I were thinking to myself today, I'm going to meet with Astrid this afternoon, and I wonder who's here for her, probably not going to get anything because you have to be a willing participant. I can't just focus on you and get all kinds of information about your family. It just doesn't work that way. At least not for me.
And would you say that, let's say, if somebody has like this block in that family when they all been alive, it was just like a communication block between all of them, is it going to transfer to the conversation with the spirit? Do you have experience like it gets better, or is it still the same? Like the blockages that used to be there are still there?
You mean a blockage, let's say, between you and someone else in your family, and then the other person passes away,
Yeah.
and you're still here? Is that
Yeah.
what you
Let's
mean?
say like there was some like a conflict, or just we couldn't communicate and we couldn't, this like a like a conversational blockage. Does it transfer into the past life?
Only with the person that's here. I've had the people here say, I don't want to talk to her. I don't want to talk to him. Well, they're here. When they get over there, they don't carry the issues of this world with them. I mean, it's just not, it's irrelevant. They don't care about money. They don't care about their house. They don't care about arguments. They just see the bigger picture and realize that this is just this infinitesimally small little drop of existence here. And once you get there, it's open, right? So you don't sweat the small stuff, just it's just not important. So they'll come through and say, listen, I understand how I made you feel. I understand I was a bad dad. I understand that I hurt you. I understand that we weren't close. Or even if we had been close, I know I moved away and then was kind of distant. All of that sort of thing is a human thing. That's part of this world. I think that's the lesson they learn about living when they're here, and they go over and they only care that you're okay. And they'll say, a lot of times, I'm sorry, or at least they'll acknowledge it. Listen, I understand this. There was distance between us, and I'm sorry it had to be that way. I didn't understand it. Whatever, whatever it is that they want to come through with. But the people here are still human. So it's up to them whether they want to listen or not.
So you would say it's more common scenario. If people come to you, let's say for a mediumship session, is it them who want the closure, or is it the spirit that needs the closure? Or both?
I think personally that the spirits want to talk to you as much as you want to talk to them. If one of those pieces, me, you, or them, is missing, it doesn't happen. And so, sometimes I think that the spirit is the one that puts it together. I think they're the one that sort of orchestrates it to get you in. Sometimes the person says, I want a reading. But why do they want a reading? Do they want it because they want it? Or do they want it because the spirit put it together? I don't know the answer to that. But I think there is healing to be done on both sides.
And what was the most bizarre or unusual way how a spirit was trying to communicate with you? Because I understood they are not always communicating in the same way.
Yeah, no, they don't. It's different. Well, everything was bizarre before I opened up to this stuff. It was frightening. Well, actually, let's be honest, all of it's bizarre, right? Most people don't have this kind of thing, so it's all kind of strange. But the most, I don't know, I'm used to it now, so it doesn't feel bizarre to me anymore. It doesn't feel like that. It's just common. I sort of miss the big, bold, in your face kind of stuff where I didn't have to think as much. Now I even don't even like to use the word think, because when you think, you're wrong. It really has to channel. But it's interpreting some of the messages. It's like a game of Pictionary. So the ones that surprise me the most are the physical ones. When I feel physically touched, or I smell something that really isn't there in the room, that no one else can smell. So things like that are kind of surprising. I'll tell you something. The other night, this never happens to me. I don't dream much, or if I do, it's just, my dog's going to the moon kind of thing, right? I don't get anything kind of real. But I had a dream. There was a man that I knew that I used to work for many years ago that passed away. House is for sale, or was for sale. And in the dream, this man that I know that worked with me was in the dream and said, that's my house, I'm buying it. Now, he's still alive, so I don't really think he came to me, but it was so weird and so surreal and so realistic that I'm waiting to see now if I was back, if that was some kind of fortuitous dream, or if it was just me having one of those wonky dreams, But because I don't ever get that kind of stuff, but it would be interesting. It shifts constantly.
So,
Constantly.
can you have like a physical impressions, like the spirit trying to like touch you, like on the shoulder, or is it just like the specific parts of the body where, say, when the person might have some like health issues?
Yeah. I don't get it. It never feels to me as if there's a person here putting their
Yeah.
hand on my shoulder. I don't feel that. What I feel is a heightened sense of pins and needles, or goosebumps, if you want to call it that, or this rush of energy that kind of flows through me. So that's the physical part of it. But sometimes I can tell it's right here, or I can put my hand down and say, oh yeah, they're here, they're this tall, they're that tall, and I can feel them. That's kind of surreal, but it never feels human to me. When they bring their attention to like a body part or an organ or something like that, it's more of an awareness. Okay, they're showing me their lungs. They're showing me their liver. Oh, no, it's down. It's down. It's the bladder. It's down. You know what I mean? I can tell. I don't know how to explain that really, because it's not physical. It's more of an awareness.
A lot of mediums tell me that the second, like when they are getting connected, it almost feels like the world just kind of zooms in into like this or awareness, or like it's like the world changes, like something shifts. Are you feeling that too? Or you just basically start channeling?
It's funny. Yes, I do, but I would say not all the time. But when I'm really connected, here's the weird thing. If I'm really connected, that does happen, but I don't recognize it until I'm out of it. So when I come out of it, I'll be like, how did I know this? I was really in it. You know what I mean? It's like all of a sudden there's a tunnel, and it's like you're
Hmm?
right there.
Yeah.
It's kind of strange, but I don't always recognize it going into it.
Did it ever happen to you that the spirit, like for some unexplained reason, just refused to communicate with their family members? Like
Hmm.
they didn't want to have anything to do with them, and it was like you could sense like it was like a rejection energy from
No, I
them.
never got that. Well, the two things. One is I've had a spirit come through that didn't want to share pieces of information that the sitter, the person I was with, was hoping to get. They have free will, but they were going to say they're here, and this is what I did, and I'm okay, and don't worry about me. But if you want to know about that, I'm not sharing that. And that's just you know. But I think we're also limited by our own brains. So everything has to get filtered through this. And I really try to just channel it without filtering it. But if I know that that person's looking for particular information, I sometimes don't know if I'm getting it because they're giving it to me, or I'm making it up, or I'm getting it because I know of that person. So it's best that I not know anything, and it will sometimes come through that way.
That's quite common for
Yeah,
psychics of all types to basically try to, as much as you can, get rid of all of your own impressions that can come in a
right.
way and recognize your own impressions from the impressions of that you are getting.
But let me say this to you, though, on that note, just because someone sits with me and wants to connect with their mother, whether they tell me or not, that's who they want to connect with, doesn't mean that their mother is going to come through. It could be somebody else. It could be an in law. I mean, they have free will. They know what's best and they know when the time is right.
And are you experiencing that, let's say, the personality, like the quirks or the humor of the person, stays the same after they pass, or do they personally does the personality change in some fundamental ways?
Yes and no. So sometimes they will show they're not human, right? Anymore. They're a soul. So they will show me that they had a sense of humor, but it doesn't mean that they're cracking jokes, right? It's just I will know that, oh, they were a real character. It might be the way they show themselves, it could be some other way that they present themselves, but I'm not going to sit here and repeat a stand up routine. Do you know what I mean? Like it doesn't
Yeah.
work that way. Also, if you were a terrible person in life and you cross over and you abandoned your children and were drunk and did drugs and killed somebody and all the horrible things that you can think about, that doesn't mean that you're going to be like that when you cross over, but you are aware of it, and they will sometimes acknowledge that this is how they lived their life. But I'm here now to say I'm sorry because that's not who I am. That was my body. That was my human condition. That's not my soul condition. So it doesn't necessarily translate in the same way, but there is an awareness that they were that way.
Was there a spirit that communicated with you something that changed the way how you look at life? That was somehow transformative to you, the way how they conveyed the message or what they said?
I don't know if there is a particular message because I forget them so quickly.
Hmm,
Once I
that
get
happens.
out, there are little moments that I remember that help me understand how this whole process works. In other words, well, just as an example, I use this all the time, but I remember sitting with a woman. We were just like this through Zoom. And she said to me, or I said to her, your grandfather's here, and he's talking about a fender bender, but I don't know if it's him or if I don't know if you had a fender bender, but I can see it. It's like a little bumper with a car in like a supermarket parking lot. I mean, it's not a big deal. Nobody's hurt. It's a scrape. It's a fender bender. The word in my head is fender bender. They got me to say the word fender bender. I can see it. She's sitting there going, geez, I have no idea. I don't know what that's about. And he kept pushing me because if you don't get it, they'll keep pushing you and pushing you and
Mm.
pushing you. So finally, we finished the session. She says, while I'm still here, I'm going to call my sister just to make sure she's okay, didn't have an accident. Because that's kind of bizarre. She calls up the sister and says, Grandpa came through and did you have an accident? God, no, nothing at all. Why? He kept talking about a fender bender. She said, oh my God, don't you remember when we were kids? That was the name of his boat. He had a boat called the Fender Bender. And
Wow.
that's how they get you to talk. So it's not my message. I don't understand it most of the time. I don't understand what they're trying to share with me, but I will get a piece of information and I'll give it. And sometimes the awareness comes later on. This is what that means. I didn't know that that's what that meant. I don't know if I just answered your question or if I went off on a tangent, but but I mean, yeah.
How did your own perspective of death changed through all of that? Because obviously you've been close to death from your teenage years.
Yeah.
How this whole understanding from the death as from the mediumship perspective, how that changed and transformed your view of death?
I don't think it did. And I'll tell you why. I've always believed that there was something beyond this. I never doubted it for a second. For some reason, I just believed that there was this existence after we passed. I didn't know what it looked like, but I can do this for you. I can't do it for me. So that also remains the same. I have to walk the same path. If I lose someone, then I need someone else to get a message for me. I can't do it myself. I know they're okay. I know they're probably over here somewhere, but I don't sit and have conversations like that. It doesn't work that way for me.
I often, when I was talking to people who've been interested in mediumship, I would say a lot of them were trying to get in touch with their loved ones, sometimes for the wrong reasons. And I would say because they just could not and did not want to let go of that person. So how do you deal with the situations when you can tell that maybe the reasons why they come to you might not be the healthiest reason?
Yeah. That kind of intensity or that kind of grief can actually block it. It's not to say that the loved one doesn't come through, but it's like driving a car through the fog. You can see just a little bit ahead of the car, but you can't really see the bigger picture. You have to be in a different space. I'll give you an example of that. I have never had my mother come through in a reading at all, ever. And I always wondered, like, why. I sit with these mediums all the time. Nothing. They never really can read me, and I don't think I'm blocked, but who knows? Maybe because I do this, I'm kind of just thinking I'm in my own space looking, right? So I was in the state of South Carolina in the USA. I did an event there a few weeks ago and I worked with another medium, and the other medium was up and I'm just sitting like this waiting and I'm listening to him. And I thought, oh my God, that's my mother. That's my mother.
Jeez,
And she
that
said,
was frightening.
he described her. He got her name. He talked about, there were family in the audience. He talked about them, where they used to live in the state of Florida, talked about the phone call. I mean, it just went on and on and on. And I had to say, this has never happened to me before. I mean, I know I didn't pay for a ticket and you're all sitting out there, but this is my mother. And the people that were there, the family were like, oh my God, it was crazy. That's never happened to me before. I needed someone else to bring her through. My perception of death and dying is the same, but it hurts no less. The loss is still real, you know? And so I really don't think it shifted anything for me. But if I can provide a little bit of relief or a little bit of comfort to someone by making a connection, and I'm just a person, I really think it's like turning the station on a, turning the radio station, turning the dial, and you're able to pick up a little bit and you hear like static, static, static in a word. That's kind of what it's like for me. It's just a piece of it. I'm not this omnipotent thing. I don't read minds. I don't know what you're thinking. I don't, there's none of that stuff. I just get bits and pieces that I can put together and create a cohesive thought. Sometimes it's a really incredible piece of evidence for something that they know about that they would not have even thought about. But it's not the whole thing.
You came to a mediumship from being a funeral director, which is a quite different path than most people take. Do you think that this give you some form of like a unique ability, so unique skills, or unique
Mm.
perspective while being doing mediumship?
One of the first lines in my book is that I have always been exactly where I was supposed to be because everything is a lesson. And there were the moments where I thought, why do I have to do this? I hate it. I wanted to get out. I didn't want to live here. My job to this day is the very same as it was. The focus, anyway, not the job, not the work, but the focus is the same. I worked for the living because of the dead. Now I work for the dead because of the living. But it's the same people, the same conversations of love, of loss. And The funeral business taught me a lot about grief, about emotion, and about sensitivity. And I'm just me. I'm just a regular person who just happens to have this ability. I don't have to wear, I don't dress up like Dracula. I don't have a weird, stage name or anything else. This is just how it is. It just comes to me. And in there to provide comfort, just like I did when I was in the funeral industry.
Have you in the past seen this ability more as a gift or as a curse?
No, it's a gift. Definitely a gift. Especially at this point in my life, it's a huge gift. And the fact that I can do this and do it authentically and compassionately is just amazing. It's not a show thing. It's not, I didn't know when it was scary that it was what it was. So whatever I was dealing with, I thought, am I cursed? Am I possessed? What is going on? Do I have an attachment? At that point, it was, but I didn't know it was this. Once I knew what it was, I thought, my God, this is brilliant. I can do things that not many people can do. And I don't know why I can do it. I still have to walk the path, but I'm able to somehow grab some pieces of something that I can share that will give people some hope that, yeah, they're going to see their mother again, their father again, their loved ones.
That's beautiful. But
Yeah.
I guess you still have to deal, apart obviously from an inner skeptic, also with the external skeptics and people trying to test you, or maybe
Yeah.
even family members and close friends who might try to doubt you or diminish what you're doing. So, what you do if somebody's trying to test you?
Well, let me say this. When it comes to skepticism is healthy. I would have called myself a healthy skeptic even before all of this, which is why it took me so long to figure it out. Cynicism is something entirely different, right? But if you have an open mind, if someone is trying to test me, it's never going to come out right. Do you know what I mean? You're not
Yeah.
being authentic. And as I said, it's a three-way street. So if they want to waste their money on, that's fine. I'm not trying to convert anybody. I don't care whether people believe in this or not. There are people who do. I know that I do. And those are the people that I'm here for. But if somebody comes in and sits with me and they have in their head this made up thing, keep in mind that what I'm connecting with is not made up. So whoever's coming through, I'm sharing that information. And if they're sitting in the chair across from me and either saying yes or no, and they're thinking that they're just making stuff up, they're not focusing on who that really is. There's somebody there for them and they're missing an opportunity. Because even me, when my mind is doing other things, I'm not focusing on the session. I have to be in the session. I have to be focused with the spirit and communicating and bringing the information back for you. I can't do that and get on my phone and read my book
It's not
or think about
focused.
what's for dinner. Right. And
It's
they're
not
not
open. It's not
focused.
focused.
We have to be in this together. It really is a three-way conversation. So it's never going to work if they're testing me ever, ever, ever in any way. And they miss a brilliant opportunity to connect with someone who really wants to reach out to them and who loves them from the other side.
What would be your advice, let's say, for people who are also trying to be mediumship or have this gift, but they are scared that they're going to lose their friends or family members? Because from what I hear from people who are pursuing spiritual paths or different paths, being healers, being mediums, that's one of the big fears that they have, that they will lose their friends or their friends will think they're crazy. Because if somebody who don't know tells you, oh, you're crazy, that doesn't hurt. But if family member tells you that, or a friend, that's hurtful. So how would you advise people
Yeah.
how to deal with that?
You have to have some rhinoceros skin, I think. And the fact that I opened up to this and accepted it at such a late point in my life, I was kind of over that. Like that childhood stuff is done, right?
Yeah.
So
Mm.
I might say, if they're younger, you don't need to share this with your doctor. You don't need to share this with your psychiatrist. You don't need to share,
Yeah.
what it is. If you know what it is, you know what it is, right? But if you want to work authentically, if you want to do the job or the work of spirit, if you want to share the messages, you can't do it in the spiritual closet. You have to open the
Mm.
door and come out and say, look, I mean, I did it the best way I could do it in the 21st century. with social media, I made a Facebook post and I said, this is it. I can't reach you all individually, but this is it. This is who I am. Honestly, I'm sure there are people that think I'm full of baloney, but that's okay. But I've never had anyone tell me that. But I'm adult. Even if they did, I don't care. If you're younger and things like that bother you, you just have to temper it a little bit. But eventually, surround yourself with people who are like you. There are others. There are groups. I get together twice a year with the most wonderful mediums from literally all over the world. And that's my community. That's my spiritual family. And so together you feel stronger. And it doesn't matter what people say because it is your gift. You have a superpower and you can do something that somebody else can't do. If you know you can fly, who cares if anybody else believes you?
That's
Just go
beautiful.
fly, right? I
Yeah,
mean,
exactly.
really.
Exactly.
But it's hard to tell that to someone who's young.
Many, many years ago, I also done a Facebook post. So as it
Mm-hmm.
seems to be a proven method of informing your loved ones and friends that you are into what they would consider as a weird stuff, Facebook, do social media posts. It works just fine. Most of them just won't say
Yeah,
anything if they think you're crazy. And the ones who
it's true.
support you will like the post. It's a
I have to
perfect.
tell you something funny on that note. So I was in South Carolina and I told you I had family down there and they saw me work. And I think they were a little bit surprised. It was like, oh my God, I didn't really know what this was. My cousin said to me, he's older than me. He's my mother's first cousin. So he's a generation older. He says, I always thought you were a little different. Don't take it wrong. Don't take it wrong. But I always thought you were a little different. I said, I am because I'm me and you're you. I mean, that's just how it is. But now you know. So it's okay to be different. We're all different, right?
Yes, we are all different, and I think that's how it should be. We should not be all the
Absolutely.
same. The world
Yeah,
would be
for
so
sure.
boring.
It is. When you're a
So
kid, though, it's tough.
it's tough because you're dealing with like your own identity and who you are, and all sorts of, and you don't know anything about the world, and everything feels like a board game you have to play. I've not been given the rules to. I guess that gets much better with being older because you don't care about it anymore. They're just being
True.
you.
True.
So, what would you say if, what would you say is like the one thing that just keeps coming, like that you keep hearing the most from the spirits that they want to share with their loved ones?
Hey, I'm okay. Knock it off. I'm still here. Get out and live your life. You're not here yet. You'll be here, but you're not here yet. So enjoy yourself. Take the trip. Go on vacation. Redecorate the house. You don't have to keep it as a shrine. You don't have to keep all my stuff. I don't want it anymore. I have no use for it. Live your life. And I'll be right here when you get here. That's it. That's all it is. They
So the
just
dead
want you to know they're okay.
want us to live. That's beautiful.
The dead aren't dead. That's the thing. They're not dead. There is no such thing. Death is a fallacy. The bodies die. We don't die. And I know that for a fact because I can sit here and share information about a loved one that I know nothing about. I'll give you an example. Again, this was one of my stage presentations, but it was a dinner show and there was a table right in front of me. And I was talking to this man about whatever it was I was bringing through for him. And I kept hearing this name over. It was a Portuguese name. This, I mean, kind of not American at all, but give it to me, give it to me. And finally, I'm like, okay, who is João? The woman at the table says, oh my God, that's my husband. He died 4 weeks ago today. And then immediately I started giving her a bunch of stuff from him. Now, where does that come from? I don't know her. I don't know her name. And a name like João, this is the United States of America. Kevin, Mark, Bob, or Jim. You know what I mean? Not João. You know what I mean? So where does it come from? Where does the name come from? Where does the information come from? How did I know that the guy sitting over here, his dad died on a train on the day that he retired with his wife by his side? How did I know this unless somebody told me?
Yeah, that you can't make this up. This is like such a randomly specific
It's so
information. Yeah.
randomly specific information. It's not just, oh, your dad's here and he loves you. Yeah, no kidding. Your dad's here and he loves you. And he was an engineer and he's sorry that he had to drive 3 hours a day, and he didn't. He'd come home at night and you were asleep, and he's so sorry that you had that experience. And then he had to work in California, and he got stuck. You can't get that unless you are being told. And
That's
so
amazing.
there is no death. There is
There is
no
no death.
death. There's no
It's
death.
just a transition.
It really is. It's like flipping the channel, I believe, like flipping the channel on the TV.
That's beautiful. So
Yeah,
if somebody wants to find out more from you, you have a book
I do.
that you have a new book. You can let us know where we can
Yeah.
get the book if for people who would like to read more about you and what you do.
Yeah. So for people who are in Prague or wherever you are, if you're not here in the United States, or even if you are in the United States, you can get it on Amazon, like you can get everything else. It's called In the Presence of Light. I think it's backwards, but I don't know. Just looking at it, it's backwards. But it's In the Presence of Light, a funeral director's journey from mourning to mediumship. And it is the story of my life and how I went through the funeral business and all of this ghost story happened. But it's on Barnes and Noble, Amazon, everywhere books are sold. You can also go on my website, which is Medium Scott Allan, Allan. You can see on the screen.com. You can book a reading with me. I do readings with people from all over the world, England, Australia. I don't know that I've ever read anybody from Prague, but there's a first time for everything. And I don't have to speak, I have to speak your language, so I know what you're telling me, but I don't have to speak their language. I had a reading with someone from India once who spoke perfect English, but her mother didn't. And we had just a perfect conversation. You can check out my podcast, which is called the Enlightened Life Podcast, and that is everywhere podcasts are shared. And it's all uplifting, transformational messages from people just like this. And so I would say between my website and the podcast, be a good jump on your journey. And I'm always there to answer questions. And follow me on Facebook and Instagram.
Okay, thank you so much. I'm definitely going to put all the links in the description section below where you can find all the links
Thank you.
to the book and to your social media. Thank you so much for coming
Thank
today.
you.
That was lovely. We had a really lovely conversation about such a heavy topic, but I think we found a very hopeful and a beautiful angle to something so serious and something that can be even scary for some people occasionally.
Yeah. Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. And you, listeners, that was another episode of Unseen Light Podcast. Let your unseen light shine. I'm going to see you in the next episode.